Hello, Aquarius, and welcome to your reading. This is Bright Soul Collective Tarot. My name is Laura, and these will be your intuitive insights and advice for the month of May 2022. So Aquarius, I hope you're doing well. I'm excited to take a look and see what May might have in store for you. This reading will be for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And as always, before we get started, do keep in mind these readings are general in nature, so not necessarily everything that comes through will make sense for you. Definitely take anything and everything that does resonate. However, it applies to your specific situation. Keep an open mind to anything that might be helpful as you move through the month, and simply leave the rest. So Aquarius, a little bit of a disclaimer here. I've been telling everybody, but I'm trying to make the videos a little bit shorter this month. I'm pulling less cards, just trying a new format. April has been a really incredibly busy and hectic month. I've had a lot on my plate. I was kind of stressed out. My energy was mostly off and I'm feeling better now, but was considering not reading at all. And ultimately I decided I was going to do the readings because I really do enjoy it. And I figured maybe tweaking the format a little bit might help me to make the readings a bit more brief. They have still been long, not as long as usual. So even though I've been pulling less cards, it's still been a lot going on. But I think ultimately it's made it a little bit easier for me to process just having less cards. So yeah, so just a heads up there, things will be a little different. I've got one oracle card for you. We will pull some tarot. I'll get you a couple of affirmations and finish off with an oracle card, which instead of openly interpreting as I do with the first, I'll read directly from the book and we'll see if that can give us more clarity and insight and help tie everything together. And as always, I will start with your channeled messages. So technically when I read the cards, I'm channeling information and messages, but I do like to take some time to sit down and connect with your energy before I pull your cards, just to see what kind of information comes through and what I channel without any visual cues, just for fun. So I've limited those messages to 5 for this month for the sake of brevity. So we'll start with those. And I will just kind of let you know what I was picking up on as I was connecting to your energy, the impressions that I got right off the bat. So what I was kind of feeling for you, Aquarius, was almost like a sense of like longing for peace and harmony, like balance. And the thing that really stood out the most to me, it was like kind of the idea of like feeling like you're due for a return on your investments. So this could be like literal investment of money. It could be time, love, attention, affection, energy. So this could apply to your finances, specifically like material investments, your job, your personal development, any and all relationships. So the feeling that I got is like whatever it is in your life, and it could be like career and relationship, it could be a combination of things, but whatever you've been the most focused on that's been really taking a lot of your time and energy, that you feel like has been kind of draining you, and like kind of taking over everything. So it's like you have to work really hard to make something work out or to make something happen. Whatever that is for you, it's kind of like getting to the point where it's like you're ready to see some results coming in. It's like you want to see either your energy being reciprocated, you want to see things improving. It's like if you're working on a relationship, connection in a relationship, trying to improve it, it's like you want to see things improving. You want to see things getting better because you don't want to just be putting your effort into whatever it is and not getting anything from it. If it's financial investments, it's like if you're going to be investing your time and your energy and monitoring it, it's like you want to start seeing gains come from it. And so I did get this sense that it's like, you know, it's like you're ready, you're due for a return, and it's like the things that are taking a lot of time and effort and energy and might be kind of draining you of your resources that aren't reciprocal, and that you're not getting a return on, and that you're not seeing improvements in, then it might be time to evaluate either if that investment, whatever form that takes, is right for you, or if maybe you need to kind of move it down the priority list. But it's definitely the sense of like you're owed, your dues are coming to term, right? Like you're owed like a return, you're owed dues, and it's like being ready to collect. And if there's nothing to collect, then it's like, why am I still going to be investing my time and energy here? So it's kind of like a boss energy. I really like that for you, Aquarius. And I think it's really important for you to evaluate like where you're putting your effort and to be participating in things that are ultimately going to that are ultimately going to balance out, that are going to be reciprocal, right? That are going to pay off in the long run, because you don't want to just be tossing your energy at something that is fruitless or that isn't giving you the results that you really want. Yeah, so I really like that. So there's a sense of like something or someone is keeping you from seeing results, and you're like, no, we're not doing this anymore. And that could be also the ways that you're keeping yourself from improving, or keeping yourself from achieving results in certain areas of your life. And it's so funny because as I was kind of like sorting through that, to be honest, there's like a lot of energy here, Aquarius. And I feel like I'm going to have a hard time condensing it. I actually had to take like 5 minutes to just completely zone out, because it's like I was almost overwhelmed with how much there is and like, where do I even start? So you might also be feeling that way. But the funny thing is that before I even like intentionally started to channel the messages, like the first thing that came through was give me a fucking break. So that is your first message for this month, Aquarius. Give me an effing break. So you might be feeling like either things are not working out, or like things are just going to crap, or it might just be one thing after another that's like, tiring, draining, not working out the way that you wanted it to, or perhaps taking you away from the things that are most important to you. And it's like you're just ready for a break. And that could also be tied to this return of investment. So it's like if there's something in your life that's causing you more trouble than it's providing good, then it might be time to just like, if that person or that thing is not giving you a break, it might be good to give yourself a break from it, because to continue participating in it when it's a drain on your resources and it is not working for you, it's just preventing you from investing that time and energy into something that is going to benefit you ultimately. So mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, any way, shape, or form, however that makes sense to you. Yeah, so there might be the sense like, yeah, a break, a return on investment is long overdue. And if it comes down to it, that might be something that you have to choose to separate yourself from, so that you can get a bit of a break, especially if it's been one thing after another, because you don't want to burn yourself out. Like, you need to take care of yourself, your best interests, right? The next thing that came through was you get what you give. And I think that is also a very strong lesson associated with the balance, harmony in relationships, investments. It's like you don't want to be making bad investment choices, whether it is financially, whether it's related to your career, your material possessions, houses, properties, friendships, romantic relationships, any kind of investment of time, energy, money, love, awareness. It's like you get what you give, right? And what you put out comes back to you ultimately. And so it's like if you're not kind of getting that, and it's like you don't want to be doing something solely for the return, right? So it's like you don't want to be being kind and nice to somebody to try and get something from them. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like real, authentic interactions, healthy kind of relationships. And then like in terms of like money, it's like something that's going to be promising, something that's going to be productive, right? So it's like if you're investing in a company, you're helping them, you're helping support them, and in return, their success benefits you, right? So it's kind of like you want that symbiotic, reciprocal relationship where everybody wins. And so if you're in a situation where you're investing time and energy or money, and you're losing out, or like the other person is getting what they want and you're not getting anything back, then that idea of you get what you give is kind of being disrupted, right? And so people can deceive us, or people can throw that out of balance. And I think it's important that like whoever you're dealing with, business or romantic or not, is like on the same page and has the same goals. So I think you get what you give. If somebody else is not like giving back to you, then I think you have to adjust the amount, right, to kind of match them, or nix it all together. But it's just like, yeah, you don't want to be giving too much, especially if you're being taken advantage of, and especially if it's not beneficial to you. So it's like that's kind of a universal law. That's like karma. Things come back to you. So keep that in mind in your dealings, interpersonal and business wise, and also like in terms of your investment in yourself and your personal development. what you put in is really going to determine, and what you put in and your intentions behind it is really going to determine how you're going to move through that and what you're going to get as an end result. So that's important. The next thing that came through was analogous pairs, like an analogous pairs versus homologous pairs. Totally weird. My gosh, like I do recall, biology, some kind of connection to that. So I had to do some Googling because I'm like, I don't even know what the significance could potentially be. But the idea, I don't want to get like super scientific. There is a connection to like DNA, genetics, something like that. So that could be maybe an area of interest or something that you're connected to in some way. But the way that I will explain it is it's like kind of like in terms of recognizing similarities, right? So it's like two things being similar because they're from the same kind of like origin. It's like same kind of DNA, same kind of origin, complementary in a way, and they work together. And that's what their similarity is. And then it's like versus things that are similar in like function or by like a classification of like relating to something else, right? So it's like the like wings of a bird among species of birds that evolved from each other, being intrinsically connected, they would be homologous, versus analogous would be like wings of a bird versus wings of an insect. It's like a very obscure topic. I'm having a really hard time, but like funnily enough, the thing that came to mind was like in terms of connections to people or relationships, right? So the thing that came to mind was it's like meeting, and I'm just going to use a romantic relationship for example, because that's like one of the most emotionally charged, right? So for example, meeting somebody who it's like kind of like cut from the same cloth, a lot of similarities, a lot of intrinsic connection, somebody that you feel naturally drawn to or that you come across and you develop an interest in or an attraction to, that it's like it just feels like there's a lot of similarity and harmony there, like they're your people, your soul family, your soul tribe, whatever, versus somebody that you have a connection to relationally, like through somebody else. So it's like meeting somebody on your own that you were like really naturally just attracted to, you click with. There's a sense of like really being similar, like on the same page, like an intrinsic connection, versus somebody that there might be an attraction to or a connection with, but it's not the same. It's not as strong. And it might be, I kind of got the sense of like somebody that you might be introduced to through somebody else, or it's like maybe your relationship to a specific person is like all you have in common. And it's like you like each other, but it's not like that same kind of destined connection, right? So it's like we're all going to have those experiences. We'll have people that we come across that it's like, damn, like these are my people, like this is somebody that I can't help but be drawn to, because it's like there is something that we shared experience. It's kind of like shared DNA, like you are one with this person, you're connected in some way, versus like somebody that you're introduced to like through work, or it's like you might have a similar interest or hobby, or it's like being set up on a blind date, so it's like the same person, or you have a connection through the same person, and it's like that person might not be your be all end all or your ideal mate, and it's like you can pair up with them and it might work, but it's not the same as like those people that you feel really naturally drawn to. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but that is kind of like the analogy, the comparison that came to mind with these weird opposing ideas. She's really complicated, Aquarius. I'm not surprised because you guys are the masters. The next thing that came through was establish boundaries. And so established means like, so boundaries that are likely already in place, maybe boundaries that you've realized that you needed to set, or maybe that you had a difficult time putting into place. It could be these boundaries, maybe you're not upholding them. So maybe you need to revisit and say like, listen, these are boundaries that I set. They're not necessarily being respected. Maybe I'm not monitoring them as closely as I should, and it's needing to kind of like re-up on those. Or it could be boundaries that were set in the past for a reason, based on what you were going through or who you were contending with, that now it's time to kind of like revisit, reestablish, kind of reassess and see how that needs to change, given either like your own evolution, the evolution of a situation or a relationship. So it may be necessary to kind of tweak those boundaries a little bit for the benefit of everybody. So there is a sense of just going back and saying like what needs to be reestablished, what needs to be revamped, what needs to be adjusted. And it's basically like, continuing to protect your resources and what's most important to you, but recognizing that that does change and grow, right, as you move through life. And the last thing that came through was MC. So like master of ceremonies. And I got like somebody like being on the microphone. So it might be that you have the opportunity or you're asked to be an MC at an event. It could be a work event. It could be just like a friend's event. It could be like a wedding or something like that. But it's the idea that you're the one responsible for kind of like hosting, keeping everything on track, and it may involve like gathering a group of people and ensuring like the night or the event moves smoothly and everybody's kind of on the same page. Or it could even just be related to public speaking. So it's like, I definitely got master of ceremonies, microphone, event. So I'm not sure how that might apply to you, but that was kind of interesting. Okay, so your channel or channel messages, that's it. So we'll get into your oracle card. So you've got TikTok, which is really interesting. So this is all about divine timing, like everything happening in its right time. And it's kind of interesting because the last oracle card that came out for Gemini, which is the reading I just did, in the oracle deck that I use, it's almost like the equivalent of this. It was a similar energy, similar message in terms of trusting divine timing. So you may, I don't know, you might have something in common with a Gemini, maybe a connection to a Gemini. Maybe you have Gemini in your chart if you're interested in astrology, but I don't know. It's kind of like maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not. If it has significance to you, it's not a coincidence that I brought that up. So, so in terms of this idea here, it's talking about timing. So the timing of our life, it can be the time that we expect things to unfold in. So it can be having certain goals, certain ideas of how your life should unfold, like a certain timeline that you want to hit in terms of like when you meet the person that you like, when you want to get married, when you want to have kids, when you want to buy your first house, like how much money you want to have in your bank by like what age. And it's kind of saying like we like to set goals for ourselves as though like time moves in a linear fashion and everything should just kind of like neatly fall into place. But that's not really the way things work. Time is not linear. And it's kind of like, in terms of timing, everything, there's no real rules. Like nothing is set in stone. Because, sorry, there's like a fly or something in here. If you see my hands moving around, I'm just trying to get it. But yeah, so it's kind of like there's no rules. The limitations that we put in terms of like what we can achieve in what time, anything that makes us feel like, oh, maybe we're behind schedule, or maybe if it hasn't already happened, it never will, or the things that we really want to achieve, like potentially not being possible because we haven't already achieved them, or perhaps feeling as though there was an opportunity that was missed and now like that's just, the door is closed. It's kind of saying like, those are just ideas. Like those are ideas and expectations that we project onto our reality with the expectation that time is linear, and it's really not, right? So it's like anything can happen at any time. And the fact is, life can really surprise you. Like sometimes something that you think would take forever to manifest can appear instantly, or an opportunity to connect with that one thing that you really want that you thought like would take forever or might never materialize can happen really quickly. And the thing is, like, in order to be able to take advantage of those opportunities, so you have to be open to the fact that it can still happen, and you have to kind of lay your timeline and your expectations down, because that causes you to put a lot of pressure on yourself. It can create a lot of fear and anxiety, and it can actually prevent you from connecting with opportunities that are going to take you or are going to materialize into exactly what it is that you're hoping to achieve. But if you're caught up in fear and anxiety around like the timing of your life and how things can unfold and if they can unfold, then you almost commit yourself to a place of like, no, it can't happen. And even if you were to come across the perfect opportunity, you might not be prepared to seize it. So it's kind of about giving yourself a little bit of a break in terms of like a timeline that you've set for yourself, especially if you're somebody who like Like that's how you judge your success, is like how much you've accomplished by a certain age, or like especially if you're hard on yourself, like, oh, at this age I thought I would be like married with a kid already, and it's like, because I'm not, maybe it'll never happen. And it's like, if that's what you really want and that's something that's important to you, and it's something that's still important to you even if you feel like the time that you wanted to achieve that in has passed, it's saying that, like, because it's important to you, it's going to play an important part in your role. It's part of who you are, and like what is destined for you will always find a way. And it's just trusting the timing and the unfolding of your life. And that if there are things that are really meaningful and really important to you, so much so that you're stressing yourself out about like your timeline, it's recognizing that like perhaps that hasn't manifested yet, because whatever you're experiencing now and whatever you've experienced up until now is preparing you for that very thing. Perhaps there are skills that you need to learn, people that you need to meet, experiences that you need to have in order to prepare you, right? So there could be an opportunity that you feel like you've missed, and that it's not going to come back around because like you can't figure out how it could possibly manifest for you. But it's like, just because you can't understand how doesn't mean that it won't, right? Because a lot can happen, and like things can happen in such a way that we would never anticipate or imagine. So we can't limit ourselves to like our own perception of time and how things could possibly unfold for us. And it's recognizing that like, just because you may feel like you've missed the opportunity, or maybe it's like, oh well, I wanted to start a business and now I'm too old, like you feel like you've missed that chance. It's like the door that you wanted to stay open, that you feel like shut, or the opportunity that you feel like may have missed, can always come back around and might reopen. And especially if it's related to something that's really kind of important to you or holds value to you, it's recognizing that like you can still connect with that even if it feels like it's too late. And the fact that either maybe there was rejection, maybe there was like a missed opportunity, maybe things just didn't align. So if the timing wasn't right, it's trusting that that is in your best interest. You weren't meant to connect with that at that time. You weren't meant to experience it at that time. And it's kind of like you're meant to be leveling up right now. And whatever you're experiencing right now is designed to help you get to that goal and where you want to be. And it's really just kind of easing into it. There's a sense of release. There's a sense of trust that things are working out for you. And I'm going to share this like little story with you just because it came to mind. It is related to relationships. I feel like this could be related to a specific relationship, maybe a missed relationship, maybe feeling like you should be further ahead, or like, you know, in terms of your family and whatever the case may be. So for example, there was a lady that I used to know, and she had been married for like 20 or more years. She had kids that were grown. And she ended up divorcing. Like, she and her husband divorced. And so they had a good enough relationship, and it was very, you know, it was very financially stable. She was well provided for. She had a comfortable life. She had children that she loved. But the relationship itself, in terms of her interaction with her husband and the quality of the relationship, it wasn't like her be all end all. You know, it wasn't like her ideal, you know, really loving, really romantic, like really perfect connection, right? But you know, she still had a beautiful life, right? And so ultimately, when they went their separate way, she eventually ended up coming into contact with somebody who was actually kind of connected to her past in a lot of weird ways. And I don't remember the specific details, but I do recall her telling me that, like, you know, they lived really close together, or like, you know, I don't know if she was in a business in the same plaza as like he was going to like guitar lessons or something, and they crossed paths. So it's like they were close by, right? And they had a lot of points of connection, and they crossed paths multiple times. So there are multiple opportunities for them to connect, but they never did because it just wasn't the right time. And so it's like, if they had just anticipated like, oh, I was interested in this person, or they caught my eye, but it's like, I'm married, they're married, we'll never be together. And if they shut the door on that entirely, they wouldn't have anticipated that they might connect. So it's like both of the marriages had ended, and they were like, you know, 20 plus years older, but they ended up reconnecting, and they recalled like all these points of connection. And it really just made the fact that they finally came together that much more more amazing. It seemed like a faded, right? And so it's like that level of relationship had so much more depth, you know, so much more excitement. There was a lot more passion. There was a lot more connection, a lot more alignment. And perhaps they both needed to have the experiences that they had with their significant others and be at this stage in life where they were able to really get the most out of each other, appreciate each other, have those major points of connection. So maybe they weren't meant to learn the more difficult life lessons together. Maybe they're meant to be together, you know, in their older years, and then they have like a higher quality of life. Like, who knows, right? We don't know how things are going to unfold, but sometimes we come across those people that strike us, and it's like they just keep coming back around, and sometimes like timing will just allow for things to fall into place, but it might look completely different than we expected. So it's kind of, and like, you know, these two individuals were very different from each other's past partners, and the relationship experience was much more different, right? So it's like, you know, there's no limit to how things can happen and when things can happen. So don't get down on yourself if the things that you really want haven't materialized yet. Just trust that, like, if it's important to you, the things that are meant for you will not pass you by, and they happen in the timing that they're meant to happen. And right now, it's just important for you to be where you are. I would say, just make the most out of it, and be intentional about like what you're doing and if it's serving you. Like if you're in reciprocal relationships, if you're getting a return on your time and energy and investments, not just relationships, because, you know, this is where you're meant to be right now, and it could very well be setting you up for exactly what it is that you want, even if that seems far away or impossible right now. So just have a little faith, be easy on yourself. Your first card is the Nine of Swords, and then your second card is the Page of Cups, which came out in reverse. I don't normally read reverse, but it flipped upside down, so we're going to take him as such. Your third card is the Knight of Wands. And finally, we'll get you one more. Oh, curious. Very, very curious. Your final card is the Seven of Cups. Right. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Swords. So I'm not surprised to see the Swords energy here. You're an air sign. You are ruled by swords, air energy, the mind. This can be like knowledge, wisdom, strategy, analysis. It's like communication, thoughts, perceptions, and beliefs. So with the Six of Swords being at the bottom of the deck, this can be like a challenging energy, right? So it can be navigating a difficult time, difficult thoughts and perceptions. So perhaps like past experiences that have been challenging, that have impacted you. It might be the way that you think about yourself or the world. This could be like limiting beliefs related to timing and your timeline that you've set for yourself. And it's kind of like, that's what's helping you navigate. So it's like the waters are rough, but there's the promise of moving to smoother water. So it's like whatever kind of challenge that you're facing or that you've been experiencing, particularly in relation to any challenging thoughts, like whatever that rough water, right? Those rough seas are in your life. It's kind of like, this is part of your journey. This is a journey, and you have to sail through the rough waters. You have to kind of like make it through the storm in order to get to a calmer place. So it's kind of like the effort that you're putting in right now will pay off. And I think it's just most important to bring into your awareness, like what that is for you. Like what kind of storm are you sailing through? And what decisions can you make that will help you connect to your strength and use your skills to navigate this difficult situation so that you can move into a calmer place. And because this is a sense of being on a journey. So you might actually be on a journey. You might be moving. You might be transitioning from like one stage of life to another, or moving between jobs or relationships or physical like properties. So that this is what's like underlying this whole thing. So it's kind of like you might be in the middle of weathering the storm right now, however that makes sense to you. So you're being encouraged to come into the month in this Nine of Swords energy, which the Nine of Swords can be a very challenging kind of energy because it is very much like dealing with these challenging beliefs, challenging thoughts. It can be fears, anxiety. It can be rumination and overthinking, having a lot of like heavy thoughts and perceptions, limiting beliefs, things that inspire you to feel like afraid or maybe out of control of what's going on. Quite often, this can also relate to like having bad dreams, having nightmares, having difficulty sleeping, like insomnia, the things that keep you up at night. And so it's just kind of recognizing if you identify with that energy, it's kind of allowing yourself to recognize what that is, what those thoughts are. Like, what are the things that are inspiring the most fear and discomfort in you? What are the things that you feel inherently wrong? So it's like you might feel as though you have to do it or you have to commit to it, but it doesn't feel right to you because it's not inspiring you to be your best self or to connect with the things that you feel like are inherently you, right? So can be kind of like the noise that gets us off track from following our own personal truth. So it's like you see there are a whole bunch of dark, like there are crows here and they're kind of flying in the fog. But then there's this one white bird and there's kind of like a spark of light around it. So it's basically saying like you have a lot of thoughts and perceptions and beliefs swirling around in your head. And a lot of them are just thoughts. A lot of them are not you. A lot of them are just things that you've picked up along the way, things that people have imposed on you or you've been conditioned to believe. And you commit to it because there's fear of stepping away from whatever those perceptions and beliefs are. But at the end of the day, your personal truth is still there. It's just more difficult to know what that is, what's true for you, what inspires you, what you want, who you want to be, how you want to act, what you want to experience in life, and what you value the most outside of all the other noise. It's still there. It just can be more difficult to uncover when you've got all this going on. And a lot of times it's like all this noise, it's just stuff that you've picked up along the way. And if you take a look at like what it is, so it's like if you're feeling anxious or if there's something that you're not feeling good about, something that's challenging to you, it's taking a look at what do you believe about it, right? And is that belief serving you? Is it helping you? Is it motivating you? Is it inspiring you? Is it causing you to move in a direction that's going to be beneficial? And it's like beneficial, it can mean like making difficult decisions and experiencing pain or loss or discomfort, but ultimately it's like learning and growing from that experience because making those decisions will help you connect with what's right for you. Right. And so it's like honoring your own inner truth and recognizing that you're kind of carrying a lot of weight and a lot of expectations that aren't yours and that don't ring true for you, that aren't helping you. And so if you can take a moment to kind of step back and observe your thoughts, the things that you say to yourself, the expectations that you have, the things that you believe to be true, could be about timing, could be about relationships, finances, money, whatever. And it's recognizing that once you become aware of what you're thinking, you can kind of analyze like, do I really think that's true? Do I really feel that way? Is that how I really want to live? Are the things that I'm thinking and the limitations that I'm putting on myself in alignment with what it is that I really feel to be true, what it is that I really want to bring in for myself? And so it's recognizing that your thoughts and the things that you want in life can be totally out of alignment, and you can be paralyzed into a place of, either being motivated by fear or not doing anything out of fear, because it's overwhelming that one truth that's most important to you, that will take you in the direction you need to go. So yeah, being aware of the fear and anxiety that you have, the ways that you sabotage yourself, the ways that you limit yourself, especially with regards to the timing of your life, anything that you believe, because it's like that can cause you to give up on yourself, give up on your dreams, and to convince yourself that the things that are most important to you are not possible. And really in your heart of hearts, you don't believe that's true. So it's like, focus on that inner truth and just start investigating the stuff that's holding you back, because once you identify that it's there, you can consciously decide that you don't want to commit to that anymore. And it takes time. It's a habit, because this can be habitual thinking. So it can take time to break that habit and to replace it with something that's more beneficial and more connected to like what's true for you. But that's a really empowering thing to do. And that can help you start work through the things that are really kind of tied to whatever you're struggling with right now. So that's a good energy for you to come into the month with. start focusing on your truth and letting go of the rest of the noise that isn't serving you or might be keeping you connected to fear. The challenge that you're going to have this month is the Page of Cups. So the Page of Cups is all about like an opportunity for emotional fulfillment. So this can be like love, self-love, connection to yourself, self-acceptance. It can be love in relationship to other people, like allowing yourself to acknowledge and express and appreciate your emotions, and for those to guide you on your path and help you make decisions, and also to help influence your connection to and relationship to other people. So a deeper level of emotional connection and sharing. So you might have, like, the fact that it came up in reverse means you might feel like an internal resistance to really truly connecting to and acknowledging your emotions, seeing the value in your emotions and what your heart tells you, making heart-based decisions instead of limiting yourself out of fear or like an expectation of like, well, I can't do that because I'm bound to this, or this is the right way to do it, and what I want, like, people aren't going to necessarily understand, whatever the case may be. So you might have some kind of resistance to following your heart, acknowledging your emotions, and like using your intuitive awareness to kind of move in a direction that's going to be beneficial to you. This is also the card of like daring to dream, right? And so it's like people think of dreaming as being like maybe unrealistic or ungrounded, and it very well can be. But when you think about it, he's grounded, though. He's sitting on the ground and he's kind of like projecting himself up into the world of possibility, right? And allowing yourself to imagine and to be creative and to daydream, it lets you tap into your inspiration, which ultimately helps you to connect with the things that are most important to you, so that you can take these ideas, which are limitless. So this is like when pigs can fly. Who says they can't, right? So this is like all the things that you think are unlikely, maybe in terms of timing, all the things that you think like can't possibly happen, or maybe it's too late, or maybe it never will. It's all the expectations that you have surrounding that. What if you just let yourself dream, let yourself believe, right? Because you can connect with inspiration that's going to help you release those expectations, release those timelines, and to just start trusting yourself to navigate, and trusting yourself to navigate more from a place of love for yourself and what's best for you, love for others, allowing love and connection, depth of emotional fulfillment to like come into your life and your relationships and to influence you, and recognizing that that is a relevant and a valuable way to move through the world. So you're going to be challenged to connect with this energy and to allow yourself to experience and express that, especially if you are a very rational, logical person, or you're very grounded and practical, and you kind of subscribe to rules or laws of life that deny emotional awareness and deny like the benefit of following your heart, right? If you're somebody that resists that or doesn't believe in that, I think this month might very well be a time for you to be challenged. And in order to navigate this, it's being recommended that you really just do connect to your inspiration, your creativity, your passion. What is it that makes you feel alive? What is it that makes you feel excited? It could be an interest, it could be a hobby, it could be your work, it could be connecting with people in a social situation, it could be a specific person that really lights you up, like a friend, a mentor, a lover, anything, right? And so it's kind of like, she's dancing to the beat of her own drum, and at the center of the drum is this spark. That spark is her inspiration, her creativity, the things that make life feel living, the things that make you feel enthusiastic. It's this like wild stallion kind of energy, allowing yourself to connect with that, to lean into it, and not only to accept that that's a valuable outlet for you, but also to recognize that like you can express that outwardly. So it could be a creative outlet like dancing, singing, playing an instrument, like it could be musical. It doesn't have to be, but it's basically like, how do you connect with your joy? How do you connect with that creativity and that expression? What connects you more deeply to your heart and the things that you value, the things that you long for, right? The things that make you excited about life, the people that make you excited about life. and that help you connect to opportunity, right? Because it's like you have to be connected to it and to value it and to allow yourself to experience it in order for it to be possible in your outer experiences, right? So it starts with you, and it's like you kind of have to give yourself the freedom. The Knight of Wands is a very confident, like very outgoing, charismatic kind of energy. It's very expressive, right? And the thing is, like, if you want a passionate life, right, you can't fight your emotions. You can't fight this depth of connection to yourself and also in relationships and following your heart, because following your heart and your emotions is connected to this spark of inspiration and enthusiasm and like the joy and passion in your life. If you want to live a passionate life, you have to allow yourself to connect to and express that. And it's marching to the beat of your own drum, expressing your authenticity and your creativity that will draw in people that are attracted to that, that are on that same level or that want to be in that same place, that can benefit and reciprocate that energy. And you can bond with people in that sense, right? So it's like, be the change you want to see in the world, right? But whatever you want to see in your relationships, in your outer experience, you have to give yourself permission to express that first. And so that is really going to help you, I think, especially if you're emotionally blocked off, if you've got walls up, if you're hesitant to like open up to the world of possibility that might be available to you by, making decisions from a more heart-based place instead of being so practical and logical. It's like, gosh, that energy will take hold really quickly, and it can drastically change your life. But it's like that will draw in the people, the places, the opportunities, the experiences. And to be honest, like, that's kind of the energy that you have to be in to appreciate divine timing. It's like doing your own thing and getting what you need out of your life situations and trusting that following your heart, acknowledging your emotions, making heart-based decisions, and expressing yourself and your creativity in an authentic way is going to help take you. It's gonna make it easier. You're not going to be resisting the timing of your life as much. And the highest possible outcome for this month, leaning into this energy, this might be a lot of personal work. And I think this can be like heavy kind of energy, and that's why there's this creative expression. It can also be like socializing, maybe like the Knight of Wands is also flirtatious too. So you could be somebody who like flirts a lot. Maybe you attract a lot of attention from other people. It's like kind of an energy that draws people in. It can be magnetic and charming. People want to be around. So that might also be part of it. Is like part of lightening up this energy is like really just giving yourself permission to just be you, like at your best without worrying about what anyone else thinks, and letting go of anything that limits you from connecting to that. And that's going to help you move through the emotional side, whatever way you're blocked off from your emotions, and the way that you can benefit from your emotions. The highest possible outcome is getting clarity on what it is that you want for yourself in terms of emotional fulfillment. Depth of love, connection, joy, happiness. Like, this is all the good stuff, right? And so you can see here that it's like he's got a whole bunch of opportunities, right? And the cups represent love, offers of love, giving and receiving love, experiencing joy, depth of emotional connection to your subconscious and your intuition. And it can also be like very deep, soulful, connected relationships with other people, right? Like beyond the surface, really, really benefiting and experiencing a deeper level of satisfaction and joy and meaning in every area of your life, right? Whatever that cup is related to. So it's like there are lots of options here. Some of them don't look so great, right? Like some of them, but it's like, how do you know? So if you have a decision to make, and you're not sure, and what is keeping you from, it might be keeping you from making a decision. Like maybe you're daydreaming about like the ideal outcome, thinking that it's not possible, and the limitations around what is possible are connected to like timing of your life and what your timeline looks like. So that might be confusing you in terms of making a decision that's going to be beneficial to you. And the key with the Seven of Cups is it's not a decision that you can necessarily make logically, because you don't have all the information as to like what the outcome is going to be or how it's going to impact you. So it's like you really have to trust your own emotional awareness, your connection to yourself, it really does have to be a heart-based decision. And not to say that you can't take practical matters into consideration, but it's saying like there is no logical way to analyze exactly what's going to happen or how it's going to happen or how it will turn out. And there's no practical way to figure out exactly how you're going to get there. It does have to be a heart-based decision. And the important thing is being connected to your emotions and what's most important to you. Making the decision that feels right from your heart means that whatever decision that you make from that place is going to be specific to you. It's going to be meaningful to you. You're going to be invested in it. You're going to experience whatever you need to experience. And having that intrinsic investment on an emotional level is what's going to help you move through that energy. Whatever that experience is, whether it's purely blissful or whether it's challenging, it's going to help you get through it because you're going to be motivated from a heart-based place. Because the only way to experience more depth and fulfillment in your life is to connect with that now and to allow that to influence the decisions that you're making. And staying connected to that and having that be your like motivation and what you're getting out of it is going to give you a deeper level of strength to manage whatever comes your way. So yeah, there is a sense that there is going to be clarity. There's an opportunity for you to figure out like what exactly your heart is calling you to do and to just focus your effort and attention on that thing. Give yourself the opportunity to thrive and to experience something more and to step out of overthinking and overanalysis that can come along with fighting this idea of divine timing. If you're not limited in terms of timing, you know, what are you going to do? What does that mean for you? So we'll get you a couple of affirmations, and then I will get you a final oracle card. We'll read from the book and see how that ties things together, because this reading is, like all the other ones, longer than I had kind of aimed for, but that's not surprising. So we've got one. We'll get you a second affirmation. All right, so when I move my body, I bust through all that blocks me from my true health and vitality. So that goes really nicely with this. So it could be physical activity, physical movement, dance, kind of like I always get like music connected to this, like maybe putting music on and dancing, singing, expressing. So expressing yourself in a physical way, moving your body can help. This is an emotional wall, this guy right here. There's an emotional block here. There's some resistance. And so it's this kind of inspired movement, moving your body can change your energy, and it can help you move through all the things that are blocking you, right? And busting through anything that's blocking you and clouding your judgment and your vision can help you ultimately get clarity in terms of making the decision that's going to be most emotionally fulfilling to you. I allow people to witness their behavior so I can help them move beyond it. So this is recognizing that the people in your life that might be difficult, particularly if there are difficult relationships, if harmony and reciprocity, if your efforts are not being, reciprocated or rewarded, it's recognizing you don't have to take responsibility for those people, and you don't have to cater to them or to make them comfortable or to give them what they want. You are basically just a mirror for them. So if they're treating you a certain way, you don't have to absorb that and try to fix it for them, right? So the best thing that you can do is help them see what they're doing, what they're bringing to the table, and to see that if they're not getting what they want, that it also has a lot to do with how they're approaching it, right? So it's like recognizing that people's interactions with you, you're just a mirror for them, right? You're not responsible for their reality of what they think and what they feel, and it's not up to you to like cater to them. That being said, there's always compromise. There needs to be compromise, harmony, balance, reciprocity in relationships. But it's basically saying, like, if you are somebody that tries to keep the peace or that's trying to make other people happy, the best thing that you can do is like just mirror, be a mirror, and recognize that if they're coming at you with something that they don't like, that also has a lot to do with them, their perceptions, their beliefs, and the things that they need to work through. It doesn't mean that you don't have work that you need to do. It just means that like you can't be taking on their responsibility for their work. And the best thing that you can do is to allow them to see what they need to work on as well. Because sometimes people just project and they end up controlling you or trying to control the dynamic of the relationship to get it to be what they want. But the reason that they want it to be that way is so that they can avoid their own personal work, right? So So it's okay to let other people, you know, get some clarity on themselves. Like, it's okay to be a mirror for people, because ultimately, like, you know, you're responsible for your growth, your behavior, your healing, doing what's right for you, and other people are responsible for themselves. And in relationships, everybody needs to be responsible for their own stuff, because otherwise you end up in codependent dynamics, and you end up sometimes committing to behaviors and things that are not beneficial to you. And it's like someone else's agenda. That's work they should be doing. So everybody needs to do it for themselves. Okay, your oracle card is Green Aventurine. So I'm just going to read it right from the book. We'll see. Okay. Takes a moment here. Okay, so luck, good fortune, potential, possibilities, new opportunities. Very much in alignment with this, trusting the timing of your life. Possibilities for experiences your soul craves are everywhere, offering new opportunities to help you find your purpose. The gate to the field of infinite potential is always open, for the conscious universe wants you to enjoy the bounty that exists in the realm of possibility and bring it to form through the power of co-creation. Cast fears and regrets aside, says Green Aventurine Spirit, for you are much loved, and the conscious universe wants to give you all that you desire. The universe is always dreaming up new ways to bring you what you need and to help you experience well-being, joy, and fulfillment. The relationship message says, beyond what the eye can see lies a field of infinite possibilities, the field where the 13th century poet Rumi asked his lover to meet him. Green Aventurine Spirit calls you to recognize that there is no end to the number of people who will come into your life offering loving support and acceptance, so never settle for less than you deserve. The conscious universe is always sending new opportunities for experiencing love, and make sure there are many fish in the sea, along with all manner of creatures, starfish, dolphins, you get the point. Open to the possibility, and the love you seek will show up for you. Prosperity message. The nature of Earth is abundant, and prosperity is your natural state. The potential for healing and balance is there if you open to the possibilities presented to you. Perhaps not exactly when you expected them to appear or exactly in the form that you imagined, but they will show up. Opportunities are easier to spot when you let go of your old beliefs about wealth and instead surrender to the universal flow. Eyes open now, for there is much potential for you to experience in the security and prosperity you desire. And the Crystal Spirit Meditation says, the energy of Green Aventurine is reminiscent of a forest walk. It brings us down out of our heads and into the heart, which is necessary here. That's where out of your head into your heart. That's the challenge. While gently grounding us at the same time. Meditation with the stone cultivates a feeling of balance and non-attachment, allowing us to easily become calm and heart-centered. So I think that's really lovely. That really ties everything together beautifully. So I love that for you, Aquarius. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it's helpful to you as you move through the month. If you enjoyed, the best way to support me is to like this video, leave me a comment, particularly if there's something that stood out to you. If there's anyone that you could think of that might enjoy this content, feel free to share the videos or my channel with them, and make sure that you head on over to Bright Soul Collective Tarot, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can check out my other readings. I have some timeless readings that you can access at any time, as in addition to just the monthly readings. Yeah, and also make sure you're subscribed to like notifications so that you can stay up to date as I post new videos. But Aquarius, I love this for you. I'm really excited for you. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm excited to read for you again next month on the heels of all of this. But in the meantime, I'm wishing you all the very best.